One. Hello, everyone. It's Patrice Danielle from idatedaily.com and Andre Hatchett.
What's up, guys?
We are coming to you today to discuss the topic of abortions. A very sensitive topic for many and a very controversial topic politically and within most households. So I'm going to start with saying that, we have people who are pro choice and we have people who are anti abortion. Um, Lots of people only look at the women when it comes to this situation. And I think that Andre's coming from a standpoint today that is going to help us understand how men are also or should also be included in the decision. So I'm going to let Andre start off with his viewpoint on the subject in general. Then I'm going to get into kind of how I feel.
Okay. Yeah, so it is a very tough subject for me to talk about. It was actually so tough for a few years I couldn't even talk about the subject. I actually got pretty emotional. I just avoided it at all costs. But I can talk about it now. So when I was 25, I had a serious girlfriend. We didn't have the best relationship. We were very different people. Things were rocky, but we had a healthy sexual relationship, and we became pregnant. And I didn't even think abortion would be an option. I just figured we would get married, or we would raise a kid together and get married later on. But I definitely wanted to get married. I'm a marriage for kids guy. So that was always my thought process. But then when we became pregnant, she was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I'm like, you don't know if you're going to keep it? What the hell? He was like, whoa. And now we did have issues, but they weren't like terrible issues. We just, I thought in my frame of mind, and still my frame of mind, is like a child is a child. This is consensual sex. We're going to figure this thing out, whatever. So she went back and forth for a couple of weeks, and she said she's going to have the abortion. I was very adamant against it. I even told her, have the child, give me the child, and you can just do whatever the hell you want to do. She didn't like that. And the day that we went to get the abortion done, the first day, she couldn't get it done. Something with her medical history or whatever. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's not going to get it done. She's going to come to her senses. Maybe some guy talking to her. Oh, and she's ultra spiritual. She's in the church choir. She's heavy church. Mm-hmm. Heavy church. And one of her reasons for wanting out abortion was, well, what about the people at church? I'm like, what about the people at church? What about God? I'm unwed, I already have a child. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You're talking about an abortion here. Who cares what they think? Like, what about God? What about the kid having a chance to live? Anyway, so couldn't get it done. We went back later on that week. I went with her. I didn't want to go, but I just felt it was, the mature thing to do to go with her to get it done. I did not want to go in that damn place. And before we went, the second time, I was literally in tears begging her not to do this. Like, literally in tears begging her not to do this. And she went through with it. I was crying at the clinic. I had to go outside, and there were protesters there who were adamantly pro-choice who were consoling me. It was tough.
How old were you again? Mm-hmm. How old were you guys?
25. She was a year older than me, so she was 26.
Okay.
And she already had a child at the time as well. I won't say the gender of the child. Hope I didn't really say, because I don't want to put her information out.
Right.
So 25, 26. And it was tough. And I was like, wow, like this really just happened. So my views now, I'm still not a pro-choice advocate. Mm-hmm. I think it should be on the table. I just think in our community, especially our black community, it's used as a form of birth control a lot of times. I'll give you another example. I did a research paper a few years. I went to school for like ever. A few years ago, I think 4 years ago, I did a research paper, and I interviewed 10 black females, all between the ages of 18 and 24 or 25, and they had a total of 50 abortions between the 10 of them, like 50. I was like, whoa. And I asked, were you guys in any kind of abusive rape? Did you go through rape or any kind of trauma, incest, or anything? They were like, no, like we just had a lot of abortions.
These were females who were in school with you?
No. I interviewed them outside of school for like a research paper. So I found a group of friends who were all willing to talk to me for this research paper, and they just were very open.
Did they come from a certain
all different types of homes, two parent households, single parent, upper economic, lower economic. It was very broad, very, very broad. The only similarities were that they were all black, they were all females, and they're all between 18 and 25.
Wow.
Houses, yeah. And suburban city, all that stuff. And they also said that the insurance companies paid for most of these procedures. So, yeah, I'm definitely not a pro-life, pro-choice, pro-whatever. I'm not either one of the extremes, but it's being used as a form of birth control in a lot of cases. And a lot of times if we just protect ourselves, or if we know heading into the situation that there's a chance that we might not want to have a baby, I just think we should take precautions for it. And yeah, it's still a little hard to talk about. Sorry if I got off.
No, it's okay. So I am definitely hardcore pro-choice. And maybe I should give a little background about how I grew up. So in my household, first of all, if you got pregnant before the age of 18, or before you left the house, 99.9% chance you are going to have an abortion. Main reason being because you were not going to be able to take care of that child, and my parents had decided that they were done having kids. So, in that case, I guess from their standpoint, to protect the life of the child, it was best to not have the kid because they weren't going to grow up in the right sort of environment where, they were going to be able to be taken care of and, grow up the way I did. So also, the viewpoint was that, mistakes happen. A child shouldn't be considered a mistake, and surely the entire act of sex, a mistake is where you trip and fall, maybe, and so the act of sex takes longer than a mistake should actually take. So at some point during it, you know what you're doing, but for the purposes of this argument, everyone messes up. So should someone who's young and dumb and ends up pregnant, have the chance to start over again, I came from a background where the answer to that question was yes. So growing up that way, I always felt like it was okay for a woman to have a choice. Now, as I entered into adulthood, I started to feel like, grown people who understand sex, who understand birth control, who, they know where there's access to it and all of those things.
It's free. A lot of it is free.
Exactly. Should be a little bit more responsible. So it started to become a little silly to me to think of someone who was past the age of 25, having an abortion. And I knew that I never wanted to have a baby outside of marriage. So when I got to the age where I could make my own decisions, have sex whenever I wanted to, and get birth control and understood where to get it from, I decided that I was going to be on birth control and I was not going to get pregnant outside of marriage because I wasn't going to have an abortion as a grown woman. Do I feel like men have a say-so? So for the majority of my life, I have felt like it's the woman's choice. Reason being, it's the woman's body. As much as a man can try to understand, what it feels like to be pregnant, to almost become a mother, or to even be a mother, a man will never fully understand. So I think it's one of those things where I'm not saying it's necessarily fair, but life isn't fair. It's one of those things that men just need to let women have the decision, make the final decision on. Um, people say, well, why won't someone just have a kid and give it up for abortion or give it up? Who's to say that it's easy for this woman to go in and have the abortion, right? She may be going through the most emotional part of her life that she'll ever go through. Does she want to carry a baby for 9 months and make it even harder? Does she want to think for the rest of her life about what is now the living child that is out there? There's an argument as to whether, you're killing, whether you're, ending someone's life, when you are having an abortion. The reality of it is that, when you kill a seed or what's not yet a human inside of you, you are not, it's not the same as ending a human life, someone who's out here and living. Someone once put it to me like this: if there was a burning building and there were living people inside and, active fetus in a refrigerator, that were, active eggs, right? Mm-hmm. Would the firefighters go in and save every living being in the building before those eggs that are in the refrigerator? And the answer is yes.
Hold on one second. Let me hop in there. I respectfully disagree with you on that one. There was also a saying that a woman had a child recently. I forget how old it was, 9 months or a year old, and she was pregnant again, and she wanted to have an abortion for the pregnant baby. And the doctor said, well, why don't you just terminate the life of the baby that you already have and just have the new baby? She was like, well, I could never do that. So I can say the same thing to you in that regard, that, it's an opinion thing. It's an opinion thing. And to just head back on what you were saying a little while ago is, if you're 18, 19, 20, and you have an abortion, let's say you even have two, mm-hmm. which I think two is a little bit much personally, but let's just say you have two and you're a teenager. It's like, okay, you grow up, you should know better than that. What I'm talking about is, in my situation, we're 25 freaking years old. I had mm-hmm. my own place. Mm-hmm. We were both in school at the time. I had a job. I had two jobs. I had the business. So financially, it wasn't a big deal. It was, and it was just, I realized after that day, after that time, I realized I have no say so in this matter. Mm-hmm. And all the stories about men, especially brothers, not taking care of their kids, absentee fathers, 72% of the household had a single woman, and here I am. Give me the baby. You can go about your life. Give me the baby. I'll take care of the baby. I'm a responsible guy. And I realized that I really have no say-so. So, in full disclosure, in my sexual life now, I have a talk.
It's so important to have the talk.
I have a talk at a time. Like, is there a possibility, no matter what happens? I'm not physically abusive, so let's say, I don't do that shit. So let's just say anything within reason that goes wrong between us. I'm not going to cheat on you. I'm not going to hit you. None of that crap. Is there a chance you'll have an abortion if we don't work out, or what the case may be? And if there's any chance that she will, I just won't have sex with her. Period.
Yeah, well, and because on the flip side of things, you have some women who may not believe in abortion, right? And mm-hmm. they could be having sex with a man who doesn't want a kid, who's not ready for a kid.
I've had friends.
And that's very detrimental. You have this woman who's pregnant and she doesn't want to have the abortion, but it's like, hey, have the child and have, the father of the child who literally doesn't want it, or have the abortion. In my eyes, I could not deal with having a counterpart parent, who does not want this kid. Yeah. I would have to have the abortion. But that's why I have to have the conversation as well.
Yeah, ahead of time. Yeah, no. I think a lot of this can be avoided with a conversation before we start getting busy. like flat out. And with me, I'm so firm on the stance. You know, it's I'm 32 years old, and it still hurts to even talk about. Yeah, it's a hardcore conversation that needs to happen, and I have it before I have sex, and if there's any chance that she will have an abortion, we just won't have sex. We just won't be, we just won't do it. We just won't do it. I won't put myself in that predicament again. I need to be with someone who's on my side of the scale in terms of the pro-life spectrum.
In talking about using it as a birth control, I'm definitely against that. And I think it should be limited. Like, we need to limit the amount of abortions that women can have because it's not okay.
I interviewed 10 women, 50 fucking abortions, all from
That's 5 abortions each.
And it was all from consensual sex. Because I know, things happen that a lot of females don't talk about, and I'm very sensitive about that topic. So, if that's the case, you do whatever you have to do, ladies. I don't want to shame you if you've been through a sexual act of crime. But damn it, 50 fucking abortions, Patrice.
It's crazy.
God, they were all under 25 years old.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Nah, man. And the insurance companies are paying for it. Like, goodness gracious.
Which is really surprising to hear, too, because I didn't realize that.
And some of them even took money from the guy, telling them that they need the money for the abortion and kept the money. And, oh, God. This topic pisses me the fuck. It really. I mean, 1 or 2 when you're younger, okay, but God, goodness gracious, Patrice, like, come on, man, we're better than this, man.
Do you understand why someone would feel like it's the woman's choice only?
I don't agree with it, but I overstand it, but I don't agree with it. No, because if you have consensual sex with a partner, unprotected sex, and he wants to have a child, give him the child. Give him the child.
But that's where I think that a man will never be able to understand the emotional ties to it, because it's not about just, okay, well, you want to take it, all right, I'll go ahead and carry it for 9 months and you could just have it. It's not. It can't possibly be that easy. And this is coming from someone who doesn't have a kid but has friends with children, knows enough people who have explained the attachment that takes place within like month 1 of being pregnant.
No, it's real stuff. But then it goes to the point that then why are we having unprotected sex when there's a chance that we don't want to have the child? Why are we having unprotected sex? Let's get right back to there. Let's get right back. Okay, why are we doing this? I'm dating now. I might be having sex sooner than later. If there's a chance of these things, like, I'm not gonna have sex with these people or in our person.
So I think we come to the agreement that as grown adults, let's say past 25.
Let's talk it out.
You have to talk it out. Ladies, you got to be responsible. You have to be on some sort of birth control. Like, you got to figure that thing out. Something.
And pulling out ain't always going to cut it either, because, that...
Again, past 25, anybody using the pull-out method needs to be shot. Let's stop. Let's just stop. We've got to start being responsible.
Oh, man, yeah.
We have to start being responsible.
You got to be responsible.
All right, well, I can't wait to see what people have to say. It's so controversial. We've talked about it in 20 minutes, but we could go on and on. So get at us. Let us know what you think. Thanks, Andre.
Later, Patrice.